Adam's Curse by W.B. Yeats. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Shempf. We sat together at one summer's end, that beautiful mild woman, your close friend, and you and I, and talked of poetry. I said, a line will take us hours maybe, yet if it does not seem a moment's thought, our stitching and unstitching has been naught. Better go down upon your marrow bones and scrub a kitchen pavement, or break stones like an old pauper in all kinds of weather. For to articulate sweet sounds together is to work harder than all these, and yet be thought an idler by the noisy set of bankers, schoolmasters, and clergymen, the martyrs called the world. That woman then murmured with her young voice, for whose mild sake there's many a one shall find out all heartache in finding that it's young and mild and low. There is one thing that all we women know, although we never heard of it at school, that we must labor to be beautiful. I said, it is certain there is no fine thing since Adam's fall but needs much laboring. There have been lovers who thought love should be so much compounded of high courtesy that they would sigh and quote with learned looks precedents out of beautiful old books, yet now it seems an idle trade enough. We sat grown quiet at the name of love. We saw the last embers of daylight die, and in the trembling blue-green of the sky a moon, worn as if it had been a shell, washed by time's waters as they rose and fell about the stars, and broke in days and years. I had a thought for no one's but your ears, that you were beautiful, and that I strove to love you in the old high way of love, that it had all seemed happy, and yet we'd grown as weary-hearted as that hollow moon. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Approach of Winter by William Carlos Williams. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. The half-stripped trees, struck by a wind together, bending all, the leaves flutter dryly and refuse to let go, or, driven like hail, stream bitterly out to one side and fall, where the salvias, hard carmine, like no leaf that ever was, edge the bare garden. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
At Cape Schanck by James Lister Cuthbertson. Read for LibriVox.org by Algie Pug. Down to the lighthouse pillar the rolling woodland comes, gay with the gold of she-oaks, and the green of the stunted gums, with the silver grey of honeysuckle, with the wasted bracken red, with a tuft of softest emerald, and a cloud-flecked sky o'erhead. We climbed by ridge and boulder, umber and yellow scarred, out to the utmost precipice, to the point that was ocean barred, till we looked below on the fastness of the breeding eagle's nest, and Cape Woolamai opened eastward, and the Otway on the west. Over the mirror of azure the purple shadows crept, league upon league of rollers landward evermore swept, and burst upon gleaming basalt, and foamed in cranny and crack, and mounted in sheets of silver, and hurried reluctant back. And the sea, so calm out yonder, wherever we turned our eyes, like the blast of an angel's trumpet, rang out to the earth and skies, till the reefs and the rocky ramparts throbbed to the giant fray, and the gullies and jutting headlands were bathed in a misty spray. Oh, sweet in the distant ranges, to the ear of inland men, is the ripple of falling water in sassafras-haunted glen, the stir in the ripening cornfield that gently rustles and swells, the wind in the wattle sighing, the tinkle of cattle bells. But best is the voice of ocean that strikes to the heart and brain, that lulls with its passionate music trouble and grief and pain, that murmurs the requiem sweetest for those who have loved and lost, and thunders a jubilant anthem to brave hearts tempest tossed, that takes to its boundless bosom the burden of all our care, that whispers of sorrow vanquished, of hours that may yet be fair, that tells of a harbour of refuge beyond life's stormy straits, of an infinite peace that gladdens, of an infinite love that waits. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
At the Closed Gate of Justice by James D. Carruthers. Read for LibriVox.org by Mike Overby, Midland, Washington. To be a Negro in a day like this demands forgiveness. Bruised with blow on blow, betrayed, like him whose woe-dimmed eyes give bliss, still must one succor those who brought one low. To be a Negro in a day like this. To be a Negro in a day like this demands rare patience, patience that can wait in utter darkness. 'Tis the path to miss, and knock unheeded at an iron gate. To be a Negro in a day like this. To be a Negro in a day like this demands strange loyalty. We serve a flag, which is to us white freedom's emphasis. Ah, one must love when truth and justice lag. To be a Negro in a day like this. To be a Negro in a day like this. Alas, Lord God, what evil have we done? Still shines the gate, all gold and amethyst, but I pass by, the glorious goal unwon. Merely a Negro in a day like this. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Broken Dreams by W.B. Yeats. Read for LibriVox.org by Peter Tomlinson. There is grey in your hair. Young men no longer suddenly catch their breath when you are passing. But maybe some old gaffer mutters a blessing because it was your prayer recovered him upon the bed of death. For your soul's sake, that all heart's ache have known, and given to others all heart's ache, from meagre girlhood's putting on burdensome beauty, for your soul's sake, heaven has put away the stroke of her doom. So great a portion in that peace you make by merely walking in a room. Your beauty can but leave among us vague memories, nothing but memories. A young man, when the old men are done talking, will say to an old man, "Tell me of that lady the poet stubborn with his passion sang us when age might well have chilled his blood." Vague memories, nothing but memories, but in the grave all shall be renewed. The certainty that I shall see that lady leaning or standing or walking in the first loveliness of womanhood, and with the fervour of my youthful eyes, has set me muttering like a fool. You are more beautiful than anyone, and yet your body has a flaw. Your small hands were not beautiful, and I am afraid that you will run and paddle to the wrist in that mysterious, always brimming lake, where those that have obeyed the holy law paddle and are perfect. Leave unchanged the hands that I have kissed, for old sake's sake. The last stroke of midnight dies. All day in the one chair, from dream to dream and rhyme to rhyme, I have ranged in rambling talk with an image of air. Vague memories, nothing but memories. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Butterfly Laughter by Catherine Mansfield. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. In the middle of our porridge plates there was a blue butterfly painted, and each morning we tried who should reach the butterfly first. Then the grandmother said, "Do not eat the poor butterfly." That made us laugh. Always she said it, and always it started us laughing. It seemed such a sweet little joke. I was certain that one fine morning the butterfly would fly out of the plates, laughing the teeniest laugh in the world, and perch on the grandmother's lap. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Candle by Catherine Mansfield. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. By my bed, on a little round table, the grandmother placed a candle. She gave me 3 kisses, telling me they were 3 dreams, and tucked me in just where I loved being tucked. Then she went out of the room and the door was shut. I lay still, waiting for my 3 dreams to talk, but they were silent. Suddenly I remembered giving her 3 kisses back. Perhaps by mistake I had given my 3 little dreams. I sat up in bed. The room grew big, oh, bigger far than a church. The wardrobe quite by itself as big as a house. And the jug on the washstand smiled at me. It was not a friendly smile. I looked at the basket chair where my clothes lay folded. The chair gave a creak as though it were listening for something. Perhaps it was coming alive and going to dress in my clothes. But the awful thing was the window. I could not think what was outside. No tree to be seen, I was sure. No nice little plant or friendly pebbly path. Why did she pull the blind down every night? It was better to know. I crunched my teeth and crept out of bed. I peeped through a slit of the blind. There was nothing at all to be seen but hundreds of friendly candles all over the sky, in remembrance of frightened children. I went back to bed. The 3 dreams started singing a little song. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Christmas Sunbeam by Annie McQueen. Read for LibriVox.org. Gathering Christmas mistletoe to deck the cottage walls, herself the sweetest floweret on which the sunlight falls. Calmly seated on a snowbank, all unmindful of the cold, clasping tight the treasured bunches that the little fingers hold. Surely now the lowly cottage has no need of other grace to charm the joyous Christmas morning than her pretty smiling face. Christmas joy must surely linger where her footsteps lightly go. Loving hearts that know her surely Christmas joy and gladness know. Like a merry sunbeam straying from the sky at break of day, choosing with a wayward spirit on the pleasant earth to stay. So this little maiden wanders round about with sweet intent, comes today a happy sunbeam, Christmas sunbeam, heaven sent. Wishing all the world a welcome from her little loving heart, in her share of Christmas bounty, wishing all could have a part. And throughout the hills and valleys, where the sunbeams brightly gleam, not one sweeter, fairer, brighter than this little Christmas beam. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Clerk of the Weather by T.W.H. Crossland. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Maundy Thursday, 1900. My dear Clerk of the Weather, next week, as you know, will be a holiday week. We are all going to the spas, or to Paris, or to Wembley, each man according to his taste, which is to say, each man according to his wife's taste, and the numerical extent of his family. Wherefore, sweet cause, excuse this little term of endearment, it is well meant. Wherefore, sweet cause, I venture to approach you with a pleasant ode, hoping this means to propitiate you, to put you in a good humour with yourself and mankind, as it were, and to extract from you sundry favours. I think I may venture to remark, dear sir, that, taking you in the lump, you are a person of infinite variety, an out-and-out enemy of that unholy thing, monotony, a sort of meteorological quick-change artist. Indeed, it has been asserted by a certain jocose American that from your British office you never issue any real weather at all, contenting yourself rather with the brisk dissemination of samples. But that is neither here nor there. Sir, an it please you, what we want for next week is sunshine in solid chunks, sunshine beneath which old and young may disport themselves merrily and as new-yeaned lambs, and without fear of spoiling their gay apparel. We also want specially fine mornings, for it is an awful job getting the twins to the station when it rains. We also want mild and fairly starlit evenings, in order that the adolescent among us may do a little useful spring courting, without suffering thereafter from cold in the head. And lastly, we do not want anything in the way of rain, hail, snow, fog, mugginess, blackness, frowning, obnoxious winds, thunder, lightning, or kindred phenomena. Of course, I am well aware that the worshipful company of umbrella makers and mackintosh manufacturers are, even at this present hour, busily importuning you to make it rain like Billy-O. But, my good, dear, kind, honest clerk of the weather, you may take it from me that the company referred to do not in any way represent public feeling in this country. Far from it, sir. On the contrary, sir, quite otherwise. And lest you should run away with an idea that in imploring you to do your best for my excellent friends, the British public, I am merely thinking about myself, let me assure you, dear sir, that next week I do not propose to leave the precincts of my own leasehold messuage, on the third floor of which I have a snug four-poster bed, also a large supply of improving literature, and several pounds of tobacco. With these and an occasional biscuit and a little wine for the stomach's sake, I shall be quite happy, even though it rain pitchforks and thunder to the tune of Greensleeves. For all that, please do be kind to the British public.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Contentment in Nature by John Kendrick Bangs. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. I would not change my joys for those of emperors and kings. What has my gentle friend the rose told them, if aught do you suppose, the rose that tells me things? What secrets have they had with trees? What romps with grassy spears? What know they of the mysteries of butterflies and honey bees who whisper in my ears? What says the sunbeam unto them? What tales have brooklets told? Is there within their diadem a single rival to the gem the dewy daisies hold? What sympathy have they with birds, whose songs are songs of mine? Do they e'er hear, as though in words 'twas lisped, the message of the herds of grazing, lowing kine? Ah, no! Give me no lofty throne, but just what nature yields. Let me but wander on alone, if need be, so that all my own are woods and dales and fields. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Death of the Old Year by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schampf. Full knee-deep lies the winter snow, and the winter winds are wearily sighing. Toll ye the church bell sad and slow, and tread softly and speak low, for the old year lies a-dying. Old year, you must not die. You came to us so readily, you lived with us so steadily, old year, you shall not die. He lieth still, he doth not move, he will not see the dawn of day. He hath no other life above. He gave me a friend, and a true, true love, and the new year will take him away. Old year, you must not go, So long as you have been with us, such joy you have seen with us, Old Year, you shall not go. He frothed his bumpers to the brim, a jollier year we shall not see. But though his eyes are waxing dim, and though his foes speak ill of him, he was a friend to me. Old Year, you shall not die. We did so laugh and cry with you, I've half a mind to die with you, Old Year, if you must die. He was full of joke and jest, but all his merry quips are o'er. To see him die, across the waste his son and heir doth ride post haste. But he'll be dead before, every one for his own. The night is starry and cold, my friend, and the new year blithe and bold, my friend, comes up to take his own. How hard he breathes! Over the snow I heard just now the crowing cock. The shadows flicker to and fro, the cricket chirps, the light burns low. 'Tis nearly 12 o'clock. Shake hands before you die, Old Year. We'll dearly rue for you. What is it we can do for you? Speak out before you die. His face is growing sharp and thin. Alack, our friend is gone. Close up his eyes, tie up his chin. Step from the corpse, and let him in that standeth there alone, and waiteth at the door. There's a new foot on the floor, my friend, a new face at the door, my friend, a new face at the door. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
December by Christopher Pearse Cranch. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. No more the scarlet maples flash and burn their beacon fires from hilltop and from plain. The meadow grasses and the woodland fern in the bleak woods lie withered once again. The trees stand bare, and bear each stony scar upon the cliffs. Half frozen glide the rills. The steel-blue river like a scimitar lies cold and curved between the dusky hills. Over the upland farm I take my walk, and miss the flaunting flocks of goldenrod, each autumn flower a dry and leafless stalk, each mossy field a track of frozen sod. I hear no more the robin's summer song through the grey network of the wintry woods, only the cawing crows that all day long clamour about the windy solitudes. Like agate stones upon earth's frozen breast, the little pools of ice lie round and still, while sullen clouds shut downward east and west in marble ridges stretched from hill to hill. Come once again, O southern wind, once more come with thy wet wings flapping at my pane, ere snowdrifts pile their mounds about my door, one parting dream of summer bring again. Ah, no, I hear the windows rattle fast. I see the first flakes of the gathering snow that dance and whirl before the northern blast. No countermand the march of days can know. December drops no weak, relenting tear by our fond summer sympathies ensnared, nor from the perfect circle of the year can even winter's crystal gems be spared. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Denial by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. We have met late. It is too late to meet, O friend, not more than friend. Death's forecome shroud is tangled round my feet, and if I step or stir, I touch the end. In this last jeopardy can I approach thee? I, who cannot move? How shall I answer thy request for love? Look in my face and see. I love thee not, I dare not love thee. Go in silence. Drop my hand. If thou seek roses, seek them where they blow in garden alleys, not in desert sand. Can life and death agree that thou shouldst stoop thy song to my complaint? I cannot love thee. If the word is faint, look in my face and see. I might have loved thee in some former days. Oh, then my spirits had leaped as now they sink at hearing thy love praise. Before these faded cheeks were overwept, had this been asked of me, to love thee with my whole strong heart and head, I should have said still, yes, but smiled and said, look in my face and see. But now God sees me, God, who took my heart and drowned it in life's surge. In all your wide warm earth I have no part. A light song overcomes me like a dirge. Could love's great harmony the saints keep step to when their bonds are loose not weigh me down? Am I a wife to choose? Look in my face and see. While I behold as plain as one who dreams some woman of full worth whose voice, as cadenced as a silver stream's, shall prove the fountain soul which sends it forth, one younger, more thought-free and fair and gay than I, thou must forget, with brighter eyes than these, which are not wet. Look in my face and see. So farewell thou, whom I have known too late to let thee come so near. Be counted happy while men call thee great, and one beloved woman feels thee dear. Not I, that cannot be. I am lost, I am changed. I must go farther, where the change shall make me worse, and no one dare look in my face and see. Meantime I bless thee. By these thoughts of mine I bless thee from all such. I bless thy lamp to oil, thy cup to wine, thy hearth to joy, thy hand to an equal touch of loyal troth. For me, I love thee not, I love thee not, away. Here's no more courage in my soul to say, look in my face and see. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ding Dong Bell by Walter Crane. Read for LibriVox.org by Emma Rose. Ding dong bell, pussy's in the well. Who put her in? Little Tommy Green. Who pulled her out? Little Tommy Trout. What a naughty boy was that? Thus to drown poor pussycat. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Dream of Death by W.B. Yeats. Read for LibriVox.org by Chad Horner from Liverpool. I dreamed that one had died in a strange place, near no accustomed hand, and they had nailed the boards above her face, the peasants of that land, wondering to lay her in that solitude, and raised above her mound a cross they had made out of 2 bits of wood, and planted cypress round, and left her to the indifferent stars above until I carved these words: She was more beautiful than thy first love, but now lies under boards. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Eat What's Set Before You by Frank R. Hine. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. As children, oft-times we were wont to criticize and fuss about the victuals that were cooked and served by Ma to us. Too salty this, and too sweet that. You've had this twice since Sunday. You always have what others like. You might please me just one day. And so it went, till Pa would say, 'Twas meant, you could not doubt it. Just eat what's set before you, and say nothin' 'tall about it. Now we are grown, and seems to me too often we're inclined to criticize the things Fate gives, and think this life a grind. Some things may not just suit our taste, some e'en be quite unpleasant. Some one may get the bigger share, and failure seem e'er present. But then let's think of Pa's advice. It's sound, pray, never doubt it. Just eat what's set before you, and say nothin' 'tall about it. Life's road is rough, but what of that? The man who'll growls forswear will top the hills ahead the crowd, all smiles with breath to spare. And so it goes this wide world o'er, 'tis true for saint and sinner. The man who silently will dig will always prove the winner. That's why I say take Pa's advice, try once and you'll not doubt it. Just eat what's set before you, and say nothin' 'tall about it.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Edition de Luxe by John Kendrick Bangs. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. How very close to truth these bookish men can be when their catalogues they pen. The words descriptive of the wares they hold to tempt the bookman with his purse of gold. For instance, they have Dryden, splendid set, which some poor wight would part with wealth to get. 'Tis richly bound, its edges gilded, but hard fate, as Dryden well deserves, uncut. For who these days would think to buy the screed of dull old dusty Dryden just to read? In faith, if his editions had been kept amongst the rarities, he'd never have crept. And then those pompous overwhelming tomes you find so oft in overwhelming homes, no substance on a waterman's surface placed, in polished leather and in tooling cased. The gilded edges dazzling to the eye, and flaunting all their charms so wantonly. These bookmen, when they catalogue their books, call them in truth Edition de Luxe. That's all they have, most of 'em, just plain shape with less pure wine than any unripe grape. But tomes that travel on their looks, indeed, are only good for those who do not read, and like most people clad in garments grand, seem rather heavy for the average hand. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Fear Not by Frank R. Hine. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Why will so many people now give way to frenzied fear? Why will they act as though they thought swift death were lurking near? E'en if disease now stalks abroad and death rides on the air, 'tis not the time for craven acts, but courage everywhere. I wonder if they stop to think how soon the war'd be won, if sons of theirs showed half the fear that they of late have done. And why fear death? Eternal life! I would not be the one to strive to stay on this poor earth with sacred tasks undone. So why not chirk up just a bit and say good-bye to fear? The world now needs much cheering up. pray help supply the cheer. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Frightened by Helen Leah Reed. Read for LibriVox.org by Kuderna. Today I had the awfulest time. Dear mother, in the wood, that hill out there we were to climb, and we'd been very good. But nurse was walking up the hill, when little Anne and we had to stop and stand quite still, and Anne began to cry. For something moved behind the trees. We felt so all alone. Said I to Anne, "Stop crying, please. I'll hit it with a stone." Cried Anne, "Oh, listen, hear it growl." Said I, "I'm not afraid of bears or lions." "Now don't scowl, you look so cross," she said. So then I had to smile and smile, for Anne was crying all the while. And if we didn't hear a bear, I'm sure, dear mother, one was there. Boys always must take care of girls. You see, you've told me so. That's why I tried to pet Anne's curls, and walked with her real slow. But when we heard nurse calling out, "Come, children, come along." "Come, nurse," you should have heard me shout. Anne says my voice is strong. "Run, Anne," I cried. "I'm almost 5, and I'll kill any bear alive." And if we didn't see a bear, I truly think that one was there. How glad I was when nurse turned round, for everything seemed queer. The trees looked strange, and then that sound we didn't like to hear. Nurse laughed when we had told her all about the bear we saw. "I came as quick's I heard you call, and it's against the law for bears to live where people stay. They are 500 miles away. But if we didn't meet a bear, I'm sure that almost one was there." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Frost at Midnight by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Read for LibriVox.org by Peter Tomlinson. The frost performs its secret ministry, unhelped by an wind. The owlet's cry came loud, and hark, again, loud as before. The inmates of my cottage, all at rest, have left me to that solitude which suits abstruser musings, save that at my side my cradled infant slumbers peacefully. 'Tis calm indeed, so calm that it disturbs and vexes meditation with its strange and extreme silentness. Sea, hill, and wood, this populous village, sea and hill and wood, with all the numberless goings-on of life, inaudible as dreams. The thin blue flame lies on my low-burnt fire, and quivers not. Only that film which fluttered on the grate still flutters there, the sole unquiet thing. Methinks its motion in this hush of nature gives it dim sympathies with me who live, making it a companionable form, whose puny flaps and freaks the idling spirit by its own moods interprets, everywhere echo or mirror seeking of itself, and makes a toy of thought. But oh, how oft at school, with most believing mind, presageful have I gazed upon the bars, to watch that fluttering stranger, and as oft with unclosed lids already had I dreamt of my sweet birthplace, and the old church tower, whose bells, the poor man's only music, rang from morn to evening, all the hot fair day, so sweetly that they stirred and haunted me with a wild pleasure, falling on mine ear, most like articulate sounds of things to come. So gazed I, till the soothing things I dreamt lulled me to sleep, and sleep prolonged my dreams. And so I brooded all the following morn, awed by the stern preceptor's face, mine eye fixed with mixed study on my swimming book. Save if the door half opened, and I snatched a hasty glance, and still my heart leapt up, for still I hoped to see the stranger's face, townsman or aunt or sister more beloved, my playmate when we both were clothed alike. Dear babe, that sleep is cradled by my side, whose gentle breathings, heard in this deep calm, fill up the interspersed vacancies and momentary pauses of the thought. My babe so beautiful, it thrills my heart with tender gladness, thus to look at thee, and think that thou shalt learn far other lore, and in far other scenes. For I was reared in the great city, pent mid cloisters dim, and saw naught lovely but the sky and stars. But thou, my babe, shall wander like a breeze by lakes and sandy shores, beneath the clouds, which image in their bulk both lakes and shores and mountain crags. So shalt thou see and hear the lovely shapes and sounds intelligible of that eternal language which thy God utters, who from eternity doth teach himself in all, and all things in himself. Great universal teacher, he shall mould thy spirit, and by giving make it ask. Therefore all seasons shall be sweet to thee, whether summer clothe the general earth with greenness, or the redbreast sit and sing betwixt the tufts of snow on the bare branch of mossy apple-tree, while the nigh thatch smokes in the sun-thaw, whether the eve drops fall heard only in the trances of the blast, or if the secret ministry of frost shall hang them up in silent icicles, quietly shining to the quiet moon. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Haunted Tram by P.G. Woodhouse. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothman. Ghosts of the tower, the grange, the court. Ghosts of the castle keep. Ghosts of the finicking high life sort are growing a trifle cheap. But there is a spook of another stamp, no thin theatrical sham, but a spectre who fears not dirt nor damp. He rides on the London tram. By a curious glance of a mortal eye, he is not seen, he's heard. His steps go a creeping by. He speaks but a single word. You may hear his feet, you may hear them plain, for it's odd in a ghost, they crunch. You may hear the whir of his rattling chain, and the tinging of his ringing punch. The gathering shadows of the night fall fast. The lamps in the street are lit. To the roof have the airy footsteps passed, where the outside passengers sit. To the passenger's side has the spectre paced. For a moment he halts, they say. Then a ring from the punch at an unseen waist, and footsteps pass away. That is the tale of the haunted car, and if on that car you ride, you won't, believe me, have journeyed far, ere the spectre seeks your side. Aye, all unseen by your seat he'll stand, and, unless it's a wig, your hair will rise at the touch of his icy hand, and the sound of his whispered, "Fare?" At the end of the trip, when you're getting down, and you'll probably simply fly, just give the conductor half a crown. Ask who is the ghost, and why. And the man will explain with bated breath, and point you a moral thus. "'E's a poor young bloke what was crushed to death by people as fought, as they didn't ought, for seats on a crowded bus." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. How Doth the Little by Lewis Carroll. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothman. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale. How cheerful he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Initiation by Rainer Maria Rilke. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Whosoever thou art, out in the evening roam. Out from thy room thou knowest in every part, and far in the dim distance leave thy home. Whosoever thou art. Lift thine eyes, which lingering see the shadows on the foot-worn threshold fall. Lift thine eyes slowly to the great dark tree that stands against heaven, solitary, tall, and thou hast visioned life. Its meanings rise like words that in silence clearer grow, as they unfold before thy will to know. Gently withdraw thine eyes. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Travelled Among Unknown Men by William Wordsworth. Read for LibriVox.org by Paul Bryan Stewart. I travelled among unknown men in lands beyond the sea. Nor England did I know till then what love I bore to thee. 'Tis past that melancholy dream, nor will I quit thy shore a second time, for still I seem to love thee more and more. Among thy mountains did I feel the joy of my desire, and she I cherished turned her wheel beside an English fire. Thy mornings showed, thy nights concealed, the bowers where Lucy played, and thine too is the last green field that Lucy's eyes surveyed. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothman. 'Twas brillig, and the slivy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the Tumtum tree, and stood awhile in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frapturous day, Callooh, Calais, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. End of poem. This reading is in the public domain.
January by William Carlos Williams. read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Again I reply to the triple winds running chromatic fifths of derision outside my window. Play louder. You will not succeed. I am bound more to my sentences the more you batter at me to follow you. And the wind, as before, fingers perfectly its derisive music. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Joy and Use by Coventry Patmore. Read for LibriVox.org by Chad Horner from Ballyclare, County Antrim, Northern Ireland, situated in the northeast of the island of Ireland. Can aught compared with wedlock be for use, but he who made the heart to use proportions joy? What he has joined let no man put apart. Sweet order has its draught of bliss, graced with the pearl of God's consent. 10 times delightful in that 'tis considerate and innocent. In vain disorder grasps the cup, the pleasure's not enjoyed but split, and, if he stoops to lick it up, it only tastes of earth and guilt. His sorry raptures rest destroys. To live like comets they must roam on settled poles, turn solid joys, and sun-like pleasures shine at home. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Look Not to the West by Cale Young Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Kevin S. Look not to the west where the sun is dying on fields of darkening clouds. Look not to the west where the wild birds nest and the winds are hieing to sweep away sleep from the forest and tatter the shrouds of sable silence lit by the fireflies' forest dance. Look not to the west. 'Tis best for the heart to hear not the chants of evening over the day's long death. Look not to the west when the sun is dying, the sun that rose with song. Look not to the west where the closed quest of thy soul seems lying, where every sorrow that ever was wetted with wrong in human breast from the sea of its radiance never fades. Look not to the west. 'Tis best for the heart to see not the shades that rise, the wrecks of a ruined past. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Mental Traveller by William Blake. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. The Mental Traveller. I travelled through a land of men and women too, and heard and saw such dreadful things as cold earth wanderers never knew. For there the babe is born in joy that was begotten in dire woe, just as we reap in joy the fruit which we in bitter tears did sow. And if the babe is born a boy, he is given to a woman old, who nails him down upon a rock, catches his shrieks in cups of gold. She binds iron thorns round his head, she pierces both his hands and feet, she cuts his heart out at his side, to make it feel both cold and heat. Her fingers number every nerve, just as a miser counts his gold. She lives upon his shrieks and cries, and she grows young as he grows old. Till he becomes a bleeding youth, and she becomes a virgin bright, then he rends up his manacles, and binds her down for his delight. He plants himself in all her nerves, just as a husbandman his mould, and she becomes his dwelling place, and garden fruitful 70-fold. An aged shadow, soon he fades, wandering round an earthly cot, fulfill it all with gems and gold, which he by industry had got. And these are the gems of the human soul, the rubies and pearls of a lovesick eye, the countless gold of the aching heart, the martyr's groan and the lover's sigh. They are his meat, they are his drink, he feeds the beggar and the poor, to the wayfaring traveller for ever open is his door. His grief is their eternal joy. They make the roofs and walls to ring, Till from the fire upon the hearth A little female babe doth spring. And she is all of solid fire, And gems and gold, that none his hand Dare stretch to touch her baby form, Or wrap her in his swaddling band. But she comes to the man she loves, If young or old, or rich or poor, They soon drive out the aged host, A beggar at another's door. He wanders weeping far away, Until some other take him in, Oft blind and age bent, sore distressed, Until he can a maiden win. And to allay his freezing age, The poor man takes her in his arms, The cottage fades before his sight, The garden and its lovely charms. The guests are scattered through the land, For the eye altering alters all, The senses roll themselves in fear, And the flat earth becomes a ball. The stars, sun, moon, all shrink away, A desert vast without a bound, And nothing left to eat or drink, And a dark desert all around. The honey of her infant lips, The bread and wine of her sweet smile, The wild game of her roving eye, Do him to infancy beguile. For as he eats and drinks, he grows Younger and younger every day, And on the desert wild they both Wander in terror and dismay. Like the wild stag she flees away, Her fear plants many a thicket wild, While he pursues her night and day, By various arts of love beguiled. By various arts of love and hate, Till the wild desert's planted o'er With labyrinths of wayward love, Where roam the lion, wolf, and boar. Till he becomes a wayward babe, And she a weeping woman old. Then many a lover wanders here, The sun and stars are nearer rolled. The trees bring forth sweet ecstasy To all who in the desert roam, Till many a city there is built, And many a pleasant shepherd's home. But when they find the frowning babe, Terror strikes through the region wide. They cry, "The babe, the babe is born!" And flee away on every side. For who dare touch the frowning form, His arm is withered to its root. Bears, lions, wolves, all howling flee, And every tree does shed its fruit. And none can touch that frowning form, Except it be a woman old. She nails him down upon the rock, And all is done as I have told. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. My Harp to Me Bring by John Campbell, translated by John Stuart Blackie. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. My harp to me bring, of my love I will sing, Who yesterday came me to see. With countenance bright, his eyes flash and light, My choice among thousands is he. Though distant retired from the land of thy sires, Where they lived in the brave days of old, The gale from thy heart shall never depart, Till silent and laid in the mould. From Appin they came, in history famed, The Stuarts of high pedigree. Courageous and bold when facing the foe, They never were known for to flee. Though scattered have been the branches so green, Brave sons of the mountains wild, The spirit remains forever the same, Descending from parent to child. Each sprig of green heather that long has been severed, On reaching the mountains so green, His spirit returns, and is kindled by love, As he thinks of the days that have been. I must now bid farewell To the lad I love well. Come back to me soon to the north. Here a welcome thou'lt find, both hearty and kind, From hearts overflowing with mirth. By Fionn. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
My Last Duchess by Robert Browning. Read for LibriVox.org by Richard Auty. Ferrara. That's my last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder now. Frau Pandolf's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. Wilt please you sit and look at her? I said Frau Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance, but to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you but I, and seemed as they would ask me, if they durst, how such a glance came there. So not the first are you to turn and ask thus. Sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into the Duchess's cheek. Perhaps Frau Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half-flush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked whate'er she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, 'twas all one, my favour at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, the bough of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her, the white mule she rode with round the terrace, all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush at least. She thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900-years-old name with anybody's gift. Who'd stoop to blame this sort of trifling, even had you skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such an one, and say, just this or that in you disgusts me, here you miss or there exceed the mark. And if she let herself be lessoned so, nor plainly set her wits to yours, forsooth, and made excuse, e'en then would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whene'er I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile? This grew. I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. There she stands as if alive. Will't please you rise? We'll meet the company below then. I repeat, the Count your master's known munificence is ample warrant that no just pretence of mine for dowry will be disallowed, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed at starting, is my object. Nay, we'll go down together, sir. Notice Neptune, though, taming a seahorse, thought a rarity, which Claus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Oblation by Algernon Charles Swinburne. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. Ask nothing more of me, sweet. All I can give you, I give. Heart of my heart, were it more, more would be laid at your feet. Love that should help you to live, song that should spur you to soar. All things were nothing to give, once to have sense of you more, touch you and taste of you sweet, think you and breathe you and live, swept of your wings as they soar, trodden by chance of your feet. I that have love and no more, give you but love of you, sweet. He that hath more, let him give. He that hath wings, let him soar. Mine is the heart at your feet, here, that must love you to live. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Old Jim Crow from the Nashville Eye. Read for LibriVox.org by Mike Overby, Midland, Washington. Wherever we live, it's right to forgive. It's wrong to hold malice, we know. But there's one thing that's true. From all points of view, all Negroes hate old man Jim Crow. His home is in hell. He loves here to dwell. We meet him wherever we go. In all public places where live both the races, you'll always see Mr. Jim Crow. Be we well educated, even to genius related, we may have a big pile of dough. That cuts not a figure. You still are a nigger. And that is the law with Jim Crow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The One and the All by Johann Goethe, 1749 to 1832, published in 1821. Read for LibriVox.org. Called to a new employ in boundless space, the lonely monad quits its accustomed place, and from life's weary round contented flees. No more of passionate striving will perverse the hampering obligations, long a curse. Free self-abandonment at last gives peace. Soul of the world, come pierce our being through. Across the drift of things our way to hew is our appointed task, our noblest war. Good spirits by our destined pathway still lead gently on, best masters of our will, toward that which made and makes all things that are. To shape for further ends what now has breath, let nothing harden into ice and death, works endless living action everywhere. What has not yet existed strives for birth, toward purer suns, more glorious colored earth. To rest in idle stillness naught may dare. All must move onward, help transform the mass, assume a form, to yet another pass. 'Tis but in seeming aught is fixed or still. In all things moves the eternal restless thought, for all, when comes the hour, must fall to naught, if to persist in being is its will. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. On His Love by Gaius Valerius Catullus, 84 to 54 BC. Read for LibriVox.org. I hate and love. Why do I so, perhaps you ask? I can't explain. The bitter fact I only know, and torture racks my brain. I hate and love. Why so? I cannot tell. I feel it, and endure the pains of hell. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Quarrel by Catherine Mansfield. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. Our quarrel seemed a giant thing. It made the room feel mean and small. The books, the lamp, the furniture, the very pictures on the wall, crowded upon us as we sat, pale and terrified, face to face. "Why do you stay?" she said. "My room can never be your resting place. Katinka, ere we part for life, I pray you walk once more with me." So down the dark familiar road we paced together silently. The sky, it seemed on fire with stars. I said, "Katinka dear, look up." Like thirsty children both of us drank from that giant loving cup. "Who were those dolls?" Katinka said. "What were their stupid vague alarms?" And suddenly we turned and laughed and rushed into each other's arms. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sad Shepherd by W.B. Yeats. Read for LibriVox.org by Chad Horner from Liverpool. There was a man whom Sorrow named his friend, and he of his high comrade Sorrow dreaming, went walking with slow steps along the gleaming and humming sands where windy surges went, and he called loudly to the stars to bend from their pale thrones and comfort him. But they among themselves laugh on and sing away. And then the man whom Sorrow named his friend cried out, "Dim sea, hear my most piteous story." The sea swept on and cried her old cry still, rolling along in dreams from hill to hill. He fled the persecution of her glory, and in a far-off gentle valley stopping, cried all his story to the dewdrops glistening. But not they heard, for they are always listening, the dewdrops, for the sound of their own dropping. And then the man whom Sorrow named his friend sought once again the shore, and found a shell, and thought, "I will my heavy story tell, till my own words, re-echoing, shall send their sadness through a hollow pearly heart, and my own tale again for me shall sing, and my own whispering words be comforting, and lo, my ancient burden may depart." Then he sang softly nigh the pearly rim, but the sad dweller by the sea-ways lone changed all he sang to inarticulate moan, among her wildering worlds forgetting him. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Satisfaction on Reading Not One Dissatisfied by Walt Whitman. By John Kendrick Bangs. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. God spare the day when I am satisfied. Enough is truly likened to a feast that leaves man satiate. The sluggishness of fullness comes apace, the dullness of a mind that knows all things, the lack of every sweet desire, no new sensation for the soul. To want no more? What vile estate is that? What holds the morrow for the soul that's satisfied? What holds the future for the mind content? Is aspiration worthless? Is much abused ambition then so vile? What is the essence of the joy of living? Must yesterday, tomorrow, and today all be the same, with nothing to be hoped for? Is not a soul athirst a joyous thing? Where lies content to him whose eye doth rest on higher things? What satiation compare to hope? Yet who among the satisfied hath need of hope? What can he hope for, if he's satisfied? 'Tis but conceit and nothing more to prate of satisfaction. God spare the day when I am satisfied. I do not want the earth, yet nothing less will leave me quite content. And once 'tis mine, I am very sure you'll find me roaming off after the universe. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Shall Race Hatred Prevail? By Adeline Carter Watson. Read for LibriVox.org by Mike Overby, Midland, Washington. By the tears of Negro mothers, by the woes of Negro wives, by the sighs of Negro children, by your gallant, snuffed-out lives, by the throne of God eternal, standing hard by heaven's gate, ye shall crush this cursed, infernal Western stigma, groundless hate. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Silent Songs by Richard Henry Stoddard. Read for LibriVox.org by Paul Bryan Stewart. If I could ever sing the songs within me day and night, the only fit accompaniment would be a lute of light. 1,000 dreamy melodies, begot with pleasant pain, like inclinations float around the chambers of my brain. But when I strive to utter one, it mocks my feeble art, and leaves me silent with the thorns of music in my heart. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
Snow by Muriel Chilkovska. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. This night, my body is an offering. I am carried to you. Years I was near you, and you are far. But tonight, of all nights, was not the night to be parted. I would fain go forth and seek you, and sink down by you, as the flakes falling outside sink into the cushioned ground. And that which is me is also a field, glowing and boundless. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnets by Michael Madhusudan Dutt. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. I am not rich, nay, nor the future heir to sparkling gold or silver heaped on store. There is no marble blushing on my floor with thousand varied dyes, no gilded chair, no cushions, carpets that by riches are brought from the Persian land or Turkish shore. There is no menial waiting at my door attentive to the knell, and all things rare, born in remotest regions, that shine in and grace the rich man's hall, are wanting here. These are not things that by blind fate have been allotted ever to the poor man's share. These are not things these eyes have ever seen, though their proud names have sounded in this ear. But oh, I grieve not, for the azure sky, with all its host of stars that brightly shine, the green-robed earth, with all her flowers divine, the verdant vales, and every mountain high, those beauteous meads that now do glittering lie clad in bright sunshine, all, oh, all are mine, and much there is on which my ear and eye can feast luxurious. Why should I repine? The furious gale that howls and fiercely blows, the gentler breeze that sings with tranquil glee, the silver rill that gaily warbling flows, and e'en the dark and everlasting sea, all these bring oblivion for my woes, and all these have transcendent charms for me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Stolen Child by William Butler Yeats. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Essen Ewing. Where dips the rocky highland of Sleuthwood in the lake, there lies a leafy island where flapping herons wake the drowsy water rats. There we've hid our fairy vats, full of berries and of reddest stolen cherries. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with the fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wave of moonlight glosses the dim gray sands with light, far off by furthest Rosses we footed all the night, weaving olden dances, mingling hands and mingling glances, till the moon has taken flight. To and fro we leap and chase the frothy bubbles, while the world is full of troubles and anxious in its sleep. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with the fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wandering water gushes from the hills above Glen Car, in pools amongst the rushes that scare would bathe a star, we seek for slumbering trout, and whispering in their ears, give them unquiet dreams, leaning softly out from ferns that drop their tears over the young streams. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with the fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Away with us he's going, the solemn-eyed,
He'll hear no more the lowing of the calves on the warm hillside, or the kettle on the hob sing peace into his breast, or see the brown mice bob round and round the oatmeal chest. For he comes, the human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than he can understand. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When Men Were All Asleep by Robert Bridges. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. When men were all asleep, the snow came flying, in large white flakes falling on the city brown, stealthily and perpetually settling and loosely lying, hushing the latest traffic of the drowsy town, deadening, muffling, stifling its murmurs failing, lazily and incessantly floating down and down, silently sifting and veiling road, roof, and railing, hiding difference, making unevenness even, into angles and crevices, softly drifting and sailing. All night it fell, and when full inches 7 it lay in the depth of its uncompacted lightness, its clouds blew off from a high and frosty heaven, and all woke earlier for the unaccustomed brightness of the winter dawning, the strange unheavenly glare. The eye marvelled at the dazzling whiteness, the ear hearkened to the stillness of the solemn air. No sound of wheel rumbling nor of foot falling, and the busy morning cries came thin and spare. Then boys I heard, as they went to school, calling, they gathered up the crystal manna to freeze their tongues with tasting, their hands with snowballing, or rioted in a drift, plunging up to the knees, or peering up from under the white mossed wonder. "Oh, look at the trees!" they cried, "oh, look at the trees!" With lessened load a few carts creak and blunder, following along the wide deserted way, a country company long dispersed asunder, when now already the sun, in pale display, standing by Paul's high dome, spread forth below his sparkling beams, and awoke the stir of the day. For now doors open, and war is waged with the snow, and trains of sombre men, past tale of number, tread long brown paths, as towards their toil they go. But even for them no cares awhile encumber their minds diverted, the daily word unspoken, the daily thoughts of labour and sorrow slumber at the sight of the beauty that greets them, for the charm they have broken. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Wild Swans at Coole by W.B. Yeats. Read for LibriVox.org by Peter Tomlinson. The trees are in their autumn beauty, the woodland paths are dry. Under the October twilight the water mirrors a still sky. Upon the brimming water among the stones are 59 swans. The 19th autumn has come upon me since I first made my count. I saw, before I had well finished, all suddenly mount and scatter wheeling in great broken rings upon their clamorous wings. I have looked upon those brilliant creatures, and now my heart is sore. All's changed since I, hearing at twilight, the first time on this shore, the velvet of their wings above my head, trod with a lighter tread. Unwearied still, lover by lover, they paddle in the cold, companionable streams, or climb the air. Their hearts have not grown old. Passion or conquest, wander where they will, attend upon them still. But now they drift on the still water, mysterious, beautiful. Among what rushes will they build? By what lake's edge or pool delight men's eyes when I awake some day to find they have flown away? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Will o' the Wisp by Swithin St. Swithin. LibriVox.org. Stone-eyed, conceited, babbling ignorance looks seeing knowledge in the face, and saith, Thou art blind and in a trance, or thou wouldest know that I have every grace of earth and heaven. Thou knowest not, I know all things, and much have wrought. I am a God. Down, down, bend thou the knee and worship me. And large-browed knowledge, standing half ashamed, looks down and listens, pitying, and saith in reply, Thou art far famed for foolishness. I know not anything, but thou art blind, whereas I see thee as thou art. Thou seest not me. A God? Ah, ah! They told me at the school thou wert a fool. And ignorance, cursing, shouts, Thou speakest lies! And knowledge, laughing, answers, No! And ignorance, blackening, thunders, I am wise! And knowledge, laughing, answers, Be it so! Thou art a fool! Thou knowest naught, and knowest not thou knowest not aught. I nothing know, yet know I nothing know, and be it so. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Windhover, to Christ our Lord, by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by Tobias Loxley. I caught this morning's minion, kingdom of the daylight's dauphin, dappled dawn-drawn falcon, in his riding of the rolling level underneath him, steady air, and striding, high there, how he rung upon the rein of a wimpling wing in his ecstasy, then off, forth on swing, as a skate's heel sweeps smooth on a bow bend, the hurling gliding rebuffed the big wind. My heart in hiding stirred for a bird, the achieve of the mastery of the thing, brute beauty and valor in act, oh, ere pride plume here buckle, and the fire that breaks from thee then, a billion times told lovelier, more dangerous, oh, my chevalier, no wonder of it. Sheer plod makes plough down Sicilian shine in blue bleak embers. Ah, my dear, fall gall themselves in gash gold vermilion. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Winter Trees by William Carlos Williams. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. All the complicated details of the attiring and the disattiring are completed. A liquid moon moves gently along the long branches. Thus, having prepared their buds against a sure winter, the wise trees stand sleeping in the cold. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.